Hi guys, this is Sam. This is my first video for CiaoBella, so please be kind. I am going to show you how I have put together an album that we are going to decorate with the Paris Je collection. So I didn't want to sort of do my video tutorial and decorating the album and then have everyone want to know how to make the album. So this walkthrough and construction is going to be fairly quick, but then the pockets and the inserts and things is what that's going to be quite a substantial video. So I will crack on with it. So first of all, you will need 2 pieces the same size, one for the front, one for the back. So those sizes are, that was my 8 3/4 inches by 6 1/4 inch. I should know because I've made it a few times. And you will need 2 of those. You will need 2 panels at 8 3/4 by 3 inch. And I do work in inches and 1/8 of an inch because centimeters, it gets trickier. I find it easier with inches, so I'm sorry guys. And then you will need 2 pieces at 1 3/4 inch by 6 1/4. So sort of double up on everything, okay? So the first thing I want to say is we are going to use grey cardstock. We are using grey cardstock for the both sides of the album and the top of the album. But I didn't want to add bulk to the sides and I didn't want to waste any card, and because this is made with A4 as well as the CiaoBella collection, it was easier to get some book cloth. Okay, so this is cloth tape. It's so easy to get hold of from Amazon. I got mine from. It's where I get most of my things from, to be fair, and it's super cheap. It's really reasonable. Cheap is a nasty word, okay? So I'm going to edge all my base pieces with this tape. Now, I have done the majority of it, but I'm going to do the different ways with the cloth tape that I need to do for each size, okay? So I will show you in real time how I do the long pieces and the side pieces of this one piece of, oh, I didn't say, I am using Mountboard. So this, you can have it either side if you are using as is. I prefer this to Greyboard when I'm making albums because it's a lot more stronger. It's a lot more dense than Greyboard, and it's got a smoother finish. And you can get that from Pink Frog Crafts in the UK. I'm not sure if they post abroad. You would have to inquire, but I don't see why not these days. So that is what I'm using, just in case somebody wants to know. So I am going to just eye it to be like just there. Make sure it's smooth. And I must say that the grey cardstock I am using matches this perfectly, which means, you know, it will all... I'm just mastering the corners now so that we're taking away the bulk. Get that out of the way. Which I didn't mean it to, but yes, it matches perfectly. Stick it out of the way and not to my finger. So I'm just going to pull those corners in real tight. Yeah, like so. Then I'm going to get my bone folder and just press that down into the corner so that the bulk of it is kind of on the edge. And the great thing with this is that there is no glue splurge. Obviously, I am only edging my card because the panels we put on, you aren't going to see hardly any of this. I use 1/8 of an inch border all around, so you will hardly see any of this but the edges, really. That is how I like it. Some people like to do a wider gap between layers, but in my albums I do actually like a thinner border. Strange, isn't it? In cards I'm not too fussy. Well, I'm saying I'm not too fussy. That sounds a bit bad, doesn't it? I am not overly specific, but I am with my albums. Now, usually I don't give myself an easy time. I like to make things a challenge for me, let's say. As you will get to learn during my videos, I'm sure, if you can bear to listen to me and watch. So let's get that rolled over tightly. Lovely. So that, as you see, there's hardly any bulk. Okay, it's brilliant stuff, is this cloth tape. They do it in all sorts of colours as well. So I am going to continue doing this, and I may have quickened the video in a short while. So if my hands start going really fast, it's because I've sped the video up. Okay guys, so I will continue with this and I will be back soon. Now you will notice that I've only done each end of our bottom of our bag album because these sides won't be seen, okay? Just these edges. Now on this part you will see I won't need to cover anything but the edges, simply because of where these little pieces are going to be. All will become clear in a second. So I just need to get it equal though. Equal enough. And it's really easy to manipulate this cloth tape. It's fantastic stuff. Highly recommend if you love making albums or kinetic folios and things. Most things will benefit from the strength of this tape and the fact that it looks lovely as well, and the flexibility of it, hence why I'm using some of it in the spine. So let's get those little bits pressed down in the corners. Fabulosa. Okay, looks lovely. So I said I'd done some prep, so I have already done the other panels. That will be my scoring board going over again. So, and that's my front panel, another front panel, and another side panel. So our next thing to do is to connect, put those to one side just a minute, is to connect our bottom piece, our back panel, okay, like so. So like a normal album. Okay, that's how it's going to go. I have laid this piece of cardstock underneath these and pencil marked where my gusset will be. Say gusset, a gap will be, so that it can open and close freely, okay? But this is where I need to put 2 lengths of the cloth tape. So that is what I'm going to do. So let's move these out of the way. And we are also going to put an addition of some bookbinding glue. Just so that these, if it goes over the edge, it's fine. We can cut that. I will cut that neater in a minute. Get rid of it now so that it's not sticking to the other piece. This is just to join. Don't need to be ultra tidy, but I usually try to be. Try not to cut into the piece, she says. All right, so that's one side. Now let's put, as you can see, that is where I've marked where the gaps are going to be. So it's just to help yourself do a better job instead of guesswork. And that's coming from me that does a lot of things by eye. So I shouldn't really be telling you things that I don't do myself. I'll learn. Practice what you preach, is it called? Is it? That's the phrase. I think my scissors need degunking. Right, there we go. So I am going to lay my spine, the bottom of our album. See, this is going to be a bit different to what you might be used to, but it is very similar to other albums, I suppose. I am going to put bookbinding glue. I don't mind if this makes a mess. This is the bottom, no one is going to see. So, put that centrally. She says centrally and then scoots it over. And then cleans up the glue that it doesn't matter because it's going to get covered. See? Just ignore what I'm saying and just watch what my hands are doing. It's usually a better thing to do with me. So I've just moved that slightly. So this is why the video is in 2 parts. Because when you are making an album that's going to have quite a lot of work inside, both pockets and inserts and spines and flaps and flips, for 24 hours is the best thing to do after you have constructed the foundations of your albums. I say that because if you don't, the card will split if you try to open and close your album when it hasn't had time to adhere. I know that because that's what happens. I've done it many times because I'm very impatient. Okay, so now all this part gets glued to one of the front or back pieces. They are both the same. So I'm just going to turn that around. I think that's enough. Any glue that comes out of the edges here, I definitely will clean that up. But it usually comes off the cloth tape really well, even though it adheres the cloth to everything else. It's very strange, but I suppose that's what you get with bookbinding glue. But if you don't have bookbinding glue, I do use acrylic, some sort of acrylic glue. It doesn't matter where it's from, I suppose, as long as it's acid free and permanent. It's all good. Put a bit more on than that. And it's really good practice once that has taken to then turn it over I'll just do that now while it's this way. Gently. It's a good job. That's getting covered. But as you can see, the grey's not far off. To be fair, I think it's quite a good match. It's quite a lot of greys and blacks and reds, obviously, in Je t'aime. So that's why I thought, instead of going for the typical black that I would normally go for the foundations, let's go for grey. It's a medium. It's not white, not black. So this is why you need to leave this and then the last bit is, well, not the last bit, but for the spine anyway, is to just strengthen those joins. Put a bit of glue on that one. It's usually pretty handy to put something heavy just going to leave that there just for a little bit. Let's do this. Is why everyone is different. You might make your albums different. You might be, I don't know, adding bulk with paper, which, to be fair, it's a shame, because if you back them and edge them with cardstock, there's a lot of waste. It's going to get covered, or it's going to get chopped off for mounted corners, etc. So it's just it might not be the quickest way, but to me, I think it makes more sense. Okie doke. Let's trim those. Although I think I might just leave them without being trimmed just yet, because I don't want to reinstate that gap. Because I've put glue on, it's thinking I'm already sticky. And just so you know, it is really strong stuff. I may get my longer scissors and get them a trim, because I need to reinstate the gap on the outer edges, on the outer spine, should I say. You know, it's my first live, be kind please. Not live video. If there's a little bit of tape on the edge, that's okay. The rest of it's grey. Blend that in. That's fine. Let's get these scissors now. Those scissors are useless. So if I was to open and close this now, it would absolutely ruin the whole thing. but I do need to just burnish that with my tool, just to reinstate that line. Okay. Job well done, she says. Although the edges don't want to play, which doesn't usually happen, but that's fine. They will be covered too. So, spines. Don't know if you know how to do spines. Most people who make books do. Just going to put this flat somewhere. We'll bring that back in a sec. So this is 8 3/4 by, I don't think it's 8 1/4 now. I think I took some off. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 6.5 inches. So 8 3/4 wide, because that's how wide the album is. By 8 3/4 this way, because that's how wide the album is, and then 6.5 inches. Gosh, Sam, you don't have to make it hard for yourself. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick these two panels, every other panel together. That is how you make a spine. And you'll see I am using power tape, which is a heck of a lot stronger than red liner. You can use glue as well if you want to, but maybe a bit of glue might not be such a bad idea. Just a tiny bit for longevity. So I'm going to bring this over and just invite that burnish. So that is my first spine. I am just going to burnish each line that I need to, because I haven't done. I thought that was a bit off. So usually I would say burnish from the center out. And I didn't, but do that, please. Okay. So let's do this one. And then bring that over. I've done the wrong one. Do you know, this is why we will have to scrub that. It's a good job that's on the bottom. I got that just in time. Oh, it's this one. Look what you've just done, Sam. So that way. Really good for your first video, Sam. Right, we've saved it. We've saved it. concentrate. There's my second spine. So this time, this is going on there. So let's bend it so we know, Sam. That's correct. And so it begins. Hi, I'm Sam. I mean well. Then bend that back, burnish, and there is my third spine. One more to go, and we will just put that in place so we know what we're doing, Sam. There we go. That's good. Then bring that over. Burnish that. Bring the edge out that way. And that, you might think this isn't a lot, but this is what we are working with. Okay. So, before we go and finish, I'm going to bring my flat album in, and that is going to sit perfectly on our spine. These pieces will be decorated in between each of the spine. Don't worry, everything has been thought about, she says again. You know, I'm doing this a lot, aren't I? So we're going to lay this flat, and I am going to put some power tape down. And then I'll explain to you where we are going with this, and see you in the next video, which I will be recording in the next couple of days. So you won't have to wait long, because I'm not one to be patient. I like to see things through fairly quickly once I've got an idea in my head. So I'll trim that down a little bit more in a minute. Just want to get this down. So let's trim you. And before we glue it in, I also want to trim the spines, otherwise our pockets won't fit over them neatly. Okay, so you want to trim those too before you glue it in, and then you aren't putting too much strain on it when it's in and it's trying to dry and set. Okay, so that is my little tidbit. Put that to one side. Right, so as well as power tape, of course, we are going to use bookbinding glue. and she can get it off. Who is this woman? She has a pokey tool and she still can't get her tape backing off. It's an accident-prone woman. It's a clumsy... I'm a clumsy crafter. Very clumsy crafter. So, this is a scary bit. It does scare me. It's like it's so final. That's why bookbinding glue is always a saviour. Because you get a bit of wiggle room. But that tape then gives you more of an instant grab. Look, I'm shaking because it makes me nervous. I saw that. There we go. Now, I will tell you that not everything will go as smoothly as this. Not ever. Whew. I can breathe now. So this is where you really need to have it connect to that bottom piece of Mountboard, our spine. And this is why you can't move it or manipulate it for 24 hours. Next, you might have noticed, let me just get this, no, I'll need that kind of thing. No, I won't. I'll move it so it's flat. Okay. So, this will be the top of our album. That is going to be glued onto the back of our bag. This is going to be the top, and it's going to roll over, and this will be then glued onto there. Okay, so then that will be decorated. Inside here, however, all needs to be taped with our cloth tape. I will do that off camera. Then you might notice also these two thinner strips of Mountboard. So this is going to be attached to the back. These are going to be attached to our card. And these are going to be magnetic. And this is how we open our album. We drop down the front, we roll that out, both sides, okay? So these both need cloth tape. They have been decorated. I will say that decorating these lines, it's completely up to you, but I think it adds a very nice effect, okay? So I can't add these yet because I don't want to manipulate, but we can add these. So let's get these glued down. And obviously underneath our decorative paper, we will have a magnet. Okay, so let's get that in place. And remember to do the opposite end with your, see why I said it doesn't matter about not covering this piece, because it gets stuck anyway. I didn't trim that one down. But that's okay. I can trim that down later. I may have trimmed the opposite end down. I would highly recommend a craft knife the other side. So that will nicely fold in on itself, okay, and then this will fold over. So that is how our album will continue. But what I will say is I will put my tape on, I will add my decorative pieces to all the spines and the roll top and roll sides, and the fun will begin where we can make the pockets and the inserts, and all this will be all connected. Okay guys, right, well, thank you for joining me for my first video, and I shall see you soon.